Unit 7, questions 9, 10, 11, and 12. Alright? So these questions want us to factor something called a quartic trinomial. Quartic means that you have an x to the fourth power. That's what quartic means. Okay? There was a typographical error in these two questions right here. This should be x to the fourth power. And then this should also be x to the fourth power. That was a typographical error. Okay? So let's go and let's dive into doing this. Alright? So what we're technically just doing is factoring. So that's technically what we are doing. Okay? And you know, whenever you factor, you write two pairs of parentheses. Alright? But this time around, we don't want an x squared. We want an x to the fourth power. To get an x to the fourth power, I need two sets of x squareds. Because x squared multiplied by x squared, you add the exponent, gives me x to the fourth power. So again, I have two sets of x squareds. And that's the same thing I would have here. I would have a factored form, which are two pairs of parentheses. And instead of having just an x, we need an x to the fourth power. So to get an x to the fourth power, you need two sets of x squareds, alright? And it will be the same thing for the next question. Because again, what do we need? X to the fourth power. And to get an x to the fourth power, you need two sets of x squareds, alright? If I wanted x squared, then I would need two sets of x's. But because I want x to the fourth power, I need two x squareds. Because again, 2 plus 2 gives me that 4. Alright? So now let's go and let's factor it. Okay? So again, we're going to find all the numbers that multiply together to give me 32. Those numbers are 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 3 does not work, but 4 and 8 does. And those are all of the pairs that multiply together to give me 32. Now I need to figure out what pair would add or subtract to give me 12. Well, 1 and 32 won't work. 2 and 16 won't work because that would either give me 18 or 14. Alright? So 4 and 8, 4 plus 8 is 12. So I would use the 4 and 8. Okay? Does it matter where I put the numbers? No. What matters is the signs. And anytime you see a positive here, you think about what, guys? You think about same signs, alright? And whatever this is, that's the same sign we need. So again, to get a negative 12, I would need a negative 4 and a negative 8. Normally, this would be it. However, we can simplify one of these a little bit more, alright? So what you're going to do is that you're going to look for which one of our factored forms can be simplified a little bit more. Alright? The one that can be simplified a little bit more has to have a square root. So 4 has a square root. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. So again, 2 times 2 is 4. There's no number when multiplied by itself would give you 8, alright? Because 4 times 4 is not 8, that's 16. So I cannot simplify this one anymore. So I'm going to bring this down, okay? I cannot simplify it anymore. But this one I can. So I'm going to write two more sets of parentheses, alright? And I need to get an x squared. What two terms give me x squared? X and x, alright? And now I need to figure out what numbers, and again, it has to be the same number, multiplies together to give me 4. So 1 times 4 gives me 4, but that's not the same number. 2 times 2 is the same number, and 2 times 2 is 4. So one of them will be a positive 2, and the other will be a negative 2. And now we have our final answer. Alright, so again, you got to pay attention real closely to that, guys. Okay, so let's try the next one. So again, we write factor form because we are factoring. Alright, and again, factor form is two pairs of parentheses. to get an x to the fourth power, we need two sets of x squareds, all right? Not x's, because again, we need x to the fourth power, not x squared, all right? Now I need to figure out what are all the numbers that multiply together to give me 36. Those numbers are 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. And those are all the pairs, okay? I need to figure out what pair would add or subtract to give me 13. 1 and 36 would not work because that will give me 37 or 35. This will give me 20 or 16. This will give me 15 or 9. This would give me 13 if I added them. 4 plus 9 is 13. 6 and 6 will give me 12 or 0. So again, the answer I would use is the 4 and 9. So I put the 4 and the 9. Does it matter where I put the numbers? No. What matters is the sign. And because I see a positive right here, that means they're going to have same signs. What same signs will give you a negative 13? Yup, two negatives. Alright? But we could simplify this a little bit more. Because what two numbers that are the same number gives you 9? Yup, 3 and 3. What two numbers that are the same number multiplies to give you 4? Yup, 2 and 2. So this can be simplified a little bit more. So let's go and simplify this a little bit more. So again, to get an x squared, we need an x and an x. What two numbers give me 9? Which are the same number, 3 and 3. One of them will be positive, the other will be negative. Alright? What about this one? Alright, our two parentheses. To get an x squared, we need an x and an x. What two numbers gives me 4? 2 and 2. So one of them will be a positive 2 and the other will be a negative 2. So all of this with the parentheses is my answer. Okay? So let's do the last one. Alright? So again, to get an x to the fourth power, I need two sets of x squared. Because again, x squared multiplied by x squared is x to the fourth power. 2 plus 2 is 4. Now I need to find out what are all the numbers that multiply together to give me 2. The only pair that multiplies to give me 2 is 1 and 2. Okay? So that's the only pair I could ever use. So I'll put 1 and 2. Does it matter where I put the numbers? No. What matters is the signs. Okay? And anytime I see a positive right here, a positive sign, I think about same signs. What same signs give me negative 3? A negative 1 and a negative 2. Because negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. The same way negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13. And negative 4 minus 8 is negative 12. So again, they have to subtract to give me this. However, one of these can be simplified a little bit more. Do you know any same numbers that multiply to give me 2? No. The only thing that gives me 2 when you multiply are 1 times 2. That's the only thing that gives me 2. Alright? So this cannot be simplified anymore. You're going to bring it down. So again, we can't simplify this anymore. I'm going to bring it down. But this can. There is a pair that multiplies to give you 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So the pair that would give me this, so again, I would write two pairs. To get an x squared, I need an x and an x. And again, to give me a 1, 1 times 1 is 1. So I would have a positive 1 and a negative 1. Because positive 1 times negative 1 gives me negative 1. The same way positive 2 times negative 2 gives me negative 4. And the same way positive 2 times negative 2 gives me negative 4. Same way positive 3 times negative 3 gives me negative 9. So again, guys, that is the result. Alright, so good luck, guys.